Hello and welcome to the second episode of This Week in Hollywood. Again, I'm your host, Adam Robson. Unfortunately, we could not have Eli here with us this week, but in name of the podcast, I decided to have someone who's actually from Hollywood on. That's going to be my friend Reiss Wiegman is here with me today.
How's it going, everybody? Hey, Adam, thank you for having me on. So excited to be here and chat with you for a little bit.
Oh, thank you for joining. I love having anybody on that loves to talk about movies, and I know you are a big movie guy, so I'm excited for this episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go right into it. Last week, if you've seen or anyone else has seen, we did a little current movies you've seen or what you plan on seeing. I haven't seen anything since then, so I'm going to throw it over to you if you'd like to say any movies that you have recently seen or plan on seeing.
Yeah, I've been going to the movies a little bit. I've seen some stuff that's coming out. Just the other day, I guess maybe it was a week ago, actually, I went and saw Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which I was pretty curious about. And that one really surprised me. Now, I did feel a bit peculiar being a man alone, went by myself, in the theater, watching a film about adolescent girls going through puberty. Again, I wasn't entirely sure what the movie was about, had seen the trailer. I was like, I'll go see this. And so the audience was mostly made up of moms and their young daughters. And then I was just kind of chilling by myself. But that thing really brought the freaking house down. I thought it was
really,
yeah, it was hysterical. The editing was top notch, really added to the comedy, great performances across the board. I thought it was really fabulous. And there's no reason on paper why a movie like that should work. It's an adaptation of an older book, this older Judy Blume book, again, about adolescent girls going through puberty, and deals unabashedly with religion. Not what you would expect to be a home run in today's market in any regard.
No, not at all.
It has this Wonder Years effect where they didn't modernize it at all. And it would have been very easy for them to be let's take this old book, let's modernize it. They didn't do that at all. And so you're watching it and you're seeing all these kids be awkward and go through middle school, but not have not be hiding on their phones or doing anything like that. They're actually just being awkward with each other and going to parties and playing spin the bottle. It was just really good stuff. It was really fun stuff. One that I didn't expect to stick with me as much as it did, but I really dug it.
That's amazing. I'm looking it up now. It's actually getting very good reviews as well, so you're not the only one. I'll definitely have to add that to my list when it comes out.
Yeah, check it out. I think it kind of slid under some people's radars. So
I heard it a little bit, but I had no intention of seeing it. But now that you said it's good, I'll definitely have to look into that one.
For sure. Rachel McAdams, really kills it.
She's great.
So, yeah, for sure.
And are there any other you've seen, or are you looking forward to any movies in particular?
I haven't been going to the movies quite as much as usual, and that means I haven't been going 3 times a week like I usually do. I have seen, I did see, I guess it came out at the end of March, but I've seen it twice now. Actually, I saw Air twice.
And I've seen Air. Really, I loved Air. I thought it was very good.
Yes, I thought I don't think anyone really can dislike that movie. It's just a fastball down the middle. You're just gonna dig it, no matter what.
Also, I would say I saw this one with my parents, and they're not huge movie people, but I mean they were into it. First of all, the cast is amazing for this smaller release of a kind of movie that didn't get too much press, in my opinion. There's trailers every now and then, but to have Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman, Viola Davis, Chris Tucker in this, and just so under the radar, and honestly just a home run, like you're saying with the last movie. I thought it was great.
For sure. And I think every performance, everyone's having so much fun in that movie. It almost feels like you're watching kids on a playground. Everyone just throwing heat, and they're just going after it. It was so fun. And again, a movie you would think if you just heard it pitched to you, you wouldn't think it's going to be a home run. You're okay, well, we all know that Nike ends up landing Jordan. Yeah. And it kind of just seems like it's a little bit of an ad for Nike, but I kind of really don't care. And I think it just really speaks to how important inevitability is in storytelling, because the whole time they're going to land Jordan. You know it, but it doesn't matter. You're still on the edge of your seat the entire time. So I thought it was,
I feel the same way. I feel very much that the performances carried that, because like you said, where it's going to go. You know that obviously Air Jordan is going to be the shoe, but seeing just those performances, those characters, and I didn't even realize, but I especially loved at the end. It is kind of sad though that the guy that designed the shoe died like the month before they started filming that, and I was shocked by that. I couldn't believe that.
I know, yeah, and that was such a great character.
Yeah, I loved him in it.
That was really, really great. Yeah, I loved Air. I saw it at like an AMC like pre-screening, and just kind of like was like, oh, I didn't know this was playing today. I'm gonna go, grab a ticket to this. Saw it, thought it was great, and then I had some friends out here actually a couple weeks ago, and they were like, we want to go see a movie. None of this stuff looks good, and I was like, we'll go see Air. You'll like it, I promise. And they loved it. So yeah, I think that's like a perfect family movie night. If your parents are like, we need a movie to watch, what are we gonna like? Like that is a total crowd pleaser. Everyone will like it.
I can't agree more. And then, do you have any movies you're looking forward to that you want to go see that are already out?
I mean, I'm probably gonna make it to go see the new Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm not like at the edge of my seat looking to go see it, but I'm interested to see what kind of goes on with that. I was just kind of looking through what's out right now, and there's nothing that's really blowing me away that I want to go see. Of course, like whenever like Fast X comes out, I'll be there for that. I'll be there for all those kind of movies, but really until like Barbie and Oppenheimer come out, nothing's really pulling me to the theaters right now.
I understand. I had Evil Dead Rise on my radar. I've loved the Evil Dead franchise.
I did see that.
The originals. I have not seen it, but I've heard it's pretty good. Yes, I've heard it is interesting in some ways, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Again, I'm in the same boat as you. Oppenheimer and Barbie. First of all, on the same day. That's interesting to release both of those together. But I'm going to be there for those. And then Mission Impossible also. I'm going to be there opening day for that. That's probably my favorite movie series in like action that I love. So that's definitely going to be an opening day. And then how are you on Wes Anderson movies? Because he has a new Wes Anderson movie coming out in June this year, Asteroid City.
Sure. All right. This is, again, one of my, we were talking shortly before we jumped on here about some of my blind spots. Wes Anderson is another one of my blind spots to a degree.
Okay.
So before was it French Dispatch came out? Before French Dispatch came out, I had only ever seen Bottle Rocket. It was the only Wes Anderson movie I had seen. And then I saw French Dispatch, and then so I thought it was funny that I'd only ever seen his first and his last movie. But since then, I've watched Rushmore, but I've still seen nothing else. And so really, I've like Rushmore and Bottle Rocket are probably his two least Wes Anderson issues.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's odd that the two that you had seen at the time
I've seen that, and then French Dispatch is like the most.
His least Wes Anderson, and then French Dispatch being like extremely over Wes Anderson. Yeah. I think he's great. I mean, obviously he's not for everybody, but I mean, Grand Budapest Hotel, you've got to check that out. That is an absolutely amazing movie. I love that one.
I'll marathon them all before.
Exactly. And then, I mean, the cast he's getting. French Dispatch had an amazing cast when that came out. And Asteroid City, I don't know if you've seen the list, but it is crazy that all these people are going to be in that movie.
Here's a question for you. Who has not been in a Wes Anderson movie would you like to see in a Wes Anderson movie? Just kind of putting you on the spot, but who is like someone you'd be like, that person could kill? I think
I would love. Let me take a second to think about this. I'm trying to think. What the person that immediately jumps to my mind here is going to be Leonardo DiCaprio. I think that he is a great performer, and he has some great performances. His performance in Django and a movie we're going to be talking about today are both incredible, and I would love to see how Wes Anderson takes that. Before that, I would say, though, the performance I'm looking to most now has got to be Michael Scott from Dunder Mifflin. He's going to be in Asteroid City, the new one. I can't believe it. I'm excited to see how he, takes his character. The trailer makes it seem like he's going to be a quieter, more subdued role, which is obviously in contrast to Michael Scott. So I'm interested to see how he plays that role a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, the look of the film is just awesome. That like really pastel,
yes,
blue and orange. Almost looks like they're standing in front of like cutouts, like background. Yeah,
I love that. Scarlett Johansson's going to be in this. I don't know if you got a chance to check out Marriage Story last year, but these big Disney actors finally getting out of these contracts. I'm loving, Adam Driver too in Marriage Story, getting to see them take on these more, grounded, real, just acting roles. I loved Adam Driver in Black Klansman. I thought he was great in that, and I want to see him do more roles like that. Unfortunately, 65 wasn't the best, but
I liked 65.
It is. Listen, it's a mixed bag. Maybe one day we'll come around to doing a review on that, but let's get over to the movie that we are doing a review on today, which is, of course, going to be The Departed. Last week, we did a random wheel for the movies, and we landed on this. And I have seen this movie many times. I have no shame in saying that this is my favorite Scorsese movie. It's above Goodfellas for me. It's above Wolf of Wall Street for me. However, Reiss, this is his first time seeing this movie. So I'm interested in hearing what you had to say on this. So for a little background before we jump right in, Departed, released in 2008. It has got an ensemble cast of Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg. Anybody in that time period is in this movie, directed by Scorsese. It is a gangsters, not really, a little bit of gangsters cop drama with some undertones of a spy almost with the rats. And it is a thriller from start to finish. Reiss, what did you think of The Departed?
I mean, I thought it was great. Hot take, it's a good movie, right? But yeah, it's just one of those movies where everyone's seen it, it's great, and I just it's those movies that I never find myself turning on that are just regarded as classics. So I'm just oh, it's not the night for that. It took me so long to see Titanic. I'm like, what? I'm just gonna throw Titanic on now.
See, that's the thing. It's the runtime. I love these movies, and it's people see these 2 hour 30, 2 hour 40 movies. I was about to say, I took a huge list of notes here because I've seen this movie so many times. I can recite lines. So I was more, watching in the background and writing some stuff down. Excuse me. But when The Departed title screen comes on 30, 40 minutes in, I mean, I was like, we are already that far into this movie. It flies by. And I think a big part of that has got to be how it switches from Matt Damon to Leonardo DiCaprio and showing both of their careers kind of progressing, but in very different lights. But it's just constantly the story is progressing and moving that you really have no moment to relax. But I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I think it's paced incredibly well.
Yeah, it's really tight. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously some standout performances. I'm tempted to say that this is my favorite Jack Nicholson performance. I love him in Burton's Batman, but I cannot say that he isn't chewing some scenery as Frank Costello in this movie. He is having a grand old time in this.
Yeah, he's really putting on a show in this. Yeah, I was going to say that was my big takeaway too in this. And I had just seen him I watched Broadcast News from '87 the first any other day.
Yeah.
And he did that a little bit too. But yeah, I mean, he really just shines here. I think, yeah, like you said, this is it's not only is he giving a great performance, but he just embodies this role so well. He looks like the dude who'd be running the mob in '08. You know what I mean? He doesn't.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, he's just great for it. And 10 out of 10, no notes. Again, that's the hardest thing about talking about movies like this where they're so good. It's I don't even, what do you even say about it? It's just, I feel every point I'm going to make is
it's good. It's hard to not
really
just keep saying it's good. I know. I feel in the same way that you are. I was going to say though, I thought that the writing of this, I really tried to pay attention to it this time. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it's when you're watching a movie and it's almost like they're improvising, but I don't think they're improvising this, not with Scorsese. And it's just everything is an immediate, a comeback to a joke, a good joke. They're making sense of what they're saying in the scene. It just, you really feel like they are in their roles in this. And I love it. I always think that a great indicator of a well-written movie is when you talk about it, you can remember the characters' actual names and not refer to them as the actor and use that well. In this, it's not Jack Nicholson, it's Frank Costello. It's not Matt Damon. It's Colin Sullivan. These are they embody their characters, and I thought it was great. And also, some of the side characters in this are amazing. I loved the Costello's whole mob gang of Fitzy and
cool.
French is incredible. I loved French in this, played by Ray Winston. I thought it was a great character.
Yes, no, I totally agree. I thought, yeah, man, all these characters are great. Also, I kept forgetting that I kept forgetting Alec Baldwin was in the movie. And
Yeah.
every time he would pop up, and he just like maybe now with everything that kind of was like been happening with Rust and everything, he like just feels like very out of place. Every time he popped up, I'm like, what is he doing in here? So that was like, and not even he wasn't even getting a bad performance, but it was just like that was like
I thought he was
scare. Every time
I've written down the processor scene where they're selling the processors to the Chinese government. He is incredible in that when he's going off on the FBI guy for not putting the camera.
So he just got sweat dripping down his
entire. I love the sweat on that. It's so good. So those were some general thoughts. I want to get into a couple more of the plot elements, especially since this was your first time. So I'm going to put a title card on screen now. Skip to this time to avoid spoilers if you haven't seen this movie. Highly recommend checking it out. But getting into spoilers now. You mentioned this before, and I wanted to touch on this before I completely forgot. You talked about how Alec Baldwin kept coming in and out of the movie, and you forgot that he was in it at some points.
Yeah.
I feel like the ending with Dignam, Mark Wahlberg, is perfectly set up because he leaves for just enough time where you completely forget him to show him up in the end. And I wanted to see what you thought of that ending.
I had the exact same thought because I was like, again, like talking about inevitability in filmmaking, you're like, there's no way that Colin doesn't go down at the end. And you think you have this, you're like, this is perfect. You're like, Billy's like grabbing him at the end, and that's going to, he's going to kind of save the day. Everything's going to be right. And then obviously the twist kind of happens and everyone gets blasted. And you're like, damn, like Colin's really going to get away with this whole thing. He's really going to come away from this whole thing. And you totally have forgotten about Dignam by that point. And then
the way that they set that up to a great point you make is like that final scene in 344 Wash where Queenan died and they're coming down. And first of all, Matt Damon's performance is when he gets in that elevator and he starts breaking down and he's like, just kill me already. It's over. Like, I love that. But the amount of twists in there, it's boom. Bill is dead. And then boom, you realize there's another rat and they kill the other cop. And then Sullivan turns on the own guy that was kind of with him with Costello. And then it takes such a long break of showing Sullivan giving his report, his story of what happened, Bill's funeral, and then him going home. It seems like there's such a long thing of like, there's no way he's getting away with this. And then finally you see those feet come up in his apartment. And obviously I do not remember what I thought when I first saw this movie, but did you have an air of who is this going to be? And were you surprised when it was Dignam?
Yeah, I had absolutely no clue. I was really taken aback by the whole thing. But yeah, I loved it. I thought that was a perfect way for it to end. It was, again, just saying, it's just freaking great. It's just good. That was the best way for that to happen. And then to have seen, Madeline leave him and everything. And that was just awesome. And the way he just kept lying and lying. And like you said, when he was coming down the elevator and you finally, whenever he breaks, that's really the first time you really, I feel like, see him just being him and not having some kind of front on or being worried about having something on his back, whether he was in the station or if he was with Frank, he's still like, he's playing a bit of a character at some points in that. And so even whenever he broke, I'm like, what's his angle here? Like, is he going to try to get like beat up more? Is he trying to like somehow bait Billy into something? But I think that was like the first time you see him. Yeah. He's done.
I would say to that point, another great point. It's just like at the end of the movie, the whole movie is just a great showing of like, at the beginning, Frank runs everything. He is clearly in charge. And then you slowly start to see him lose his mind and get angrier and get more reckless because he can't get this rat. And to your point of like, oh, is this finally the real Colin Sullivan? Just kill me. I don't care. He's a coward. I feel like that. And then when he's in the police station near the end and Costello is just pissed at him, he's like, you need to get the rat. You need to get the tails off me. And just that 1,000-yard stare of like, I'm so tired of dealing with this. And leading to him killing Costello. And obviously that is a huge character point for both of them because as Colin says, you're like, I'm like your son, but you don't have a son. Like I'm the son you never had. And I think that's a big part of what makes you upset all the time. And then, Costello draws down on him. Couple points I wanted to ask you though. I have looked this up and I haven't found a concise answer, but Delahunt, when he's the guy in Costello's crew that gets shot after Queenan dies and realizes that Bill might be the rat in Costello's gang because he gave him the wrong address, but Bill showed up at the right address. Then when he is found in the marsh, the cops say that he was an undercover agent being the rat. Do you think he might have also been a rat under Queenan in Costello's gang?
Yeah, that's a good point, because whenever he is talking to when he's talking to Billy, maybe that's what I think you're onto that. Yeah, that's what he's trying to get out of him. Probably he's talking to Billy. He's like, "Tell me why I didn't tell anybody else that I know that you're the rat."
Like, I won't tell anybody, but tell me why you were there when I gave you the like. It's so much like Queenan says at the beginning that his undercover guys are so locked, no one's getting to him. It gives you the sense that even the undercover guys don't know who the undercovers are. So they could be, working. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they all. It's like it's like this like really lame game of chicken, because like everybody knows what everybody's doing. Like the cops know what Frank's doing, the Frank knows what the cops doing, and they've just like they're trying to both nail each other so good they just like won't arrest. Like the cops just won't arrest Frank on like whatever they had. You remember like Al Capone got arrested for what, like tax evasion or something?
Exactly. They get you in.
And they're like, they had Frank for so many things, but like they're like, no, they were just trying to sink their teeth in so hard. And so they were both just like, they both kept digging their feet in all kinds of different angles. And then the FBI gets involved. They have rats just everywhere. And of course, nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing's ever going to happen because they're all just like so cemented into each other.
See, I think that, and also because Frank really is the FBI informant, that they can't touch him. Because that scene where Frank is with his, I guess, girlfriend or wife after he gets off the phone with Colin, and Dignam and Queenan are there on like that wharf area, that dock area, and they're just talking to him out in the open. Like they both know, at least from the cops' perspective, they can't get to him. And you can see Frank loves the fact that he knows he's untouchable at that moment. Like like I said, he's playing up that character, and he really does love it. I did want to see if you knew anything, since this is your first viewing of it. I'm sure you don't, but the X theory. In movies, obviously, they put some people put X's above characters that are going to die by the end of the movie. Right. Scorsese did this in this movie, and I have a couple of them here. I've written them down. So there are X's. There's many more that I'm about to name, obviously, but these are the ones that I see every time I watch the movie and can't help but not notice. So when Queenan is falling out of the building, the windows that he fall past all have X's on them. Costigan at the airport, when he is threatening to leave to Dignam, the airport has X's on the windows behind him. And in the final elevator, before he opens the door and gets shot, there is an X behind him. And Sullivan, when he is walking into his apartment at the end, there are X's on the floor in big red marks before he goes in. There's a lot more, but I just love that attention to detail, and looking back on the movie, just like trying to find those every time. Like, where are the other ones?
Sure. Yeah, I'm looking at a bunch of them right now. Yeah, all this like subtle visual storytelling is something that Scorsese and all these great filmmakers are incredible at. And it's just, like these little things that just like really keep like pulling you in and making you want to rewatch the movie again and look for all these subtle things.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, as we're kind of wrapping up our review here on this, are you looking forward to Scorsese's next movie?
Of course, always.
I forgot what it is called, so I'm going to look it up real quick. I'm going to probably cut this section out. Also, my Zoom is not paid for, so eventually it will drop us out of the call, but I'll just make a new one and re-invite you.
All good.
I think it's like The Killers of the Flower Moon. Okay.
The Killers of the Flower Moon, yep.
So I want to know if you were interested in Killers of the Flower Moon, his next movie coming up. It's got, again, Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be in it with Robert De Niro, and Jesse Plemons also going to be in, and Brendan Fraser.
I'm really excited for. Yes, I love Jesse Plemons. I mean, like Kirsten is my favorite actress. She's my favorite actor, and I've always loved Jesse Plemons ever since Friday Night Lights. So yeah, I did not wait for him to see what he does. And he's really had I wouldn't say a resurgence, but he's been like going strong lately ever since he was kind of Breaking Bad, and he was in Power of the Dog. So
yes, he is great in Breaking Bad. I loved him in that.
Yeah.
And another one in Killers of the Flower Moon, Brendan Fraser, hot off of a Best Actor win last year at the Oscars. Now, we talked about the Oscars a little bit last week, But just wanted to get your quick thoughts on this year's Oscars of how they went.
It's all good.
Yeah, I would say it's the most tame Oscars that it could have been following last year, which it kind of had to be.
Yeah.
But no real big snubs, in my opinion. No big shocks. I was happy with everything. I can't go walk away mad with that.
Yeah, everything was fine. I mean, I've got my own lists of what I think should have went down and everything.
Yeah,
but
obviously.
We'll save that for another time. Of
course. So getting into the next part, we have some trailers. More trailers came out that we're going to talk about and discuss. Yeah. First one up, The Hunger Games, The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. Now, I have not read this book, but I understand that you are reading this book currently.
I am actively, so I did not watch the trailer because I am actively halfway through this book because I did. Yes. I loved the Hunger Games was my stuff. Whenever it I read all the books before the first movie came out, I think, and that was I was all about it. Didn't know this book came out in 2020, and then just kind of saw this movie whenever the movie got announced, and I was like, well, I want to read the book first. So I haven't seen the trailer because I don't want to ruin anything yet. I've seen a few images come out. I'm reading the book. The book's really strong, I think, for a young adult book, but I do like it. And so I'm, excited to get back into a theater and see some action here in a few months.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think I read the books before the movies came out, but I definitely read all the books around that time those movies were coming out. Yeah. I don't see, the thing is, I'm just interested in why it's such a long time between those originals and this one. I'm wondering the kind of response it's going to get. If it's going to,
I think it's going to flop. I think it's going to flop.
I'm well aware that it very well might flop, but the trailer looked interesting for someone that I didn't even finish. I think Mockingjay Part 2. If they split that into two, I don't even think I finished it, but it doesn't look bad. There's some decent actors in this. Peter Dinklage is going to be in this. Jason Schwartzman from Wes Anderson. Viola Davis is in this as well. A lot of decent actors. So definitely on my radar. I'll probably see what the reviews are when it comes out and then gauge my interest off of that. But could be something I go and see.
There you go.
Next up, not a movie trailer, a TV show trailer, The Continental. Now, this is going to be a TV show based on the hotel from the John Wick franchise, which just wrapped up with its 4th movie last March, I think. Yes, March. What did you think of this trailer?
I'm cautiously excited, and also I'm so behind on my TV that the thought of having another show to watch is daunting. I still haven't seen Andor. I haven't seen The Last of Us. I haven't seen the new season of The Mandalorian. All things that are kind of on my plate, and so it's now I gotta make time for this John Wick thing. But I think John Wick is a franchise, is a world that would lend itself well to TV. Maybe even more so than movies. Kind of like a John Wick. It's supposed to sound really weird to say, a John Wick movie feels like it might almost make a better video game than it would a movie.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, and so video game adaptations, I feel usually, The Last of Us, it was a much better miniseries than it would have been a movie, even though I haven't seen it, but that's my understanding. And so I think that world would play itself really well to a miniseries, really set up what all these factions are, really get into the nitty gritty of some of the lore that's been established in the movies. I think for fans, it'll be incredible. I don't know how many people it would pull in who aren't already John Wick fans, but I guess it probably doesn't matter whenever it's such a giant franchise, has a huge built-in audience to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, John Wick 4 just hit 400 million last week at the box office. Incredible for an R-rated action movie that far into its run to hit 400 million. I will say, though, back to your point of, you've got so much TV to watch. This is only going to be 3 episodes. So I feel like this is going to be very manageable to fit in to a schedule of anybody that's, stuck on TV. If you're into John Wick, I feel like you can easily put away 3 episodes to watch.
For sure. It's just one a really long movie, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like you said, I love the first John Wick. I'm assuming you've seen most of them, if not all of them. Okay. Mm-hmm. I love the first John Wick, and I think the second one is the second best just because of the lore it introduces and everything it builds on. That's when you really get the sense of this criminal underworld. 3 just levels up the action, and 4 is the best one, in my opinion, story-wise and action-wise. And I'm a little cautious of how, someone besides Chad Stahelski will handle the story. Someone besides Keanu Reeves being our main character in a TV show aspect. But I am interested in seeing this, just like I'm interested in seeing the Ballerina spinoff next year, starring Ana de Armas, which is also going to be part of this John Wick universe.
Mm-hmm. And I love Ana de Armas, so I'm for that for sure.
I've loved everything she's done since Knives Out. I thought she killed it in Knives Out. Knives Out was a great, small, like, whodunit thriller that went against the grain, and she did great in that. So I'm excited for Ballerina as well. And anything John Wick, I think I'll definitely be there for. Last trailer that I had to add on very last minute because they dropped it just a few days ago, Dune Part 2. What are we thinking about Dune Part 2?
I was not a fan of the first part of Dune Part 1. Did not like it. No, to me, it felt like I sat there in the theater for 3 hours and looked at the color orange and felt absolutely nothing.
I can agree with that.
Maybe it warrants a rewatch before I go sit through Part 2. But
yeah, I would agree.
I'm cautiously optimistic about this. It looks like, some more stuff's going on. My critique might be that it was kind of a lot of world building in the first one with not a whole lot of story going down. But I can't be in the minority whenever I say stuff like that. So I'm excited about this. Zendaya is going to obviously have a way larger role, which I feel like like catfished a little bit.
She's got to be in it more than 3 minutes.
Yeah. So, after having invested so much time watching the first movie, I'm definitely going to be there in theaters November 3rd, whenever the second one comes out. And, hopefully it pays off a little bit. Seems like there's going to be some more action.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited.
I'm excited. I'm a little bit in a different boat than you. I kind of loved that first movie. Now, how are you on Denis Villeneuve? Are you a big fan of his with his other movies? Because I think I love Blade Runner 2049 is great. Enemy, I love Enemy. I think that's one of his better movies. But I kind of loved the first one, again, with these ensemble cast of just everybody that was in that: Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Timothy Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson. And it just continues into this one. I mean, we've got most people returning besides Oscar Isaac. Obviously, he died in the first one, but Austin Butler's going to be in this one. Christopher Walken, Léa Seydoux, Dave Bautista. I'm hoping gets a bigger role as the Harkonnens, along with Stellan Skarsgård. I thought was great, and Javier Bardem. It's just so many actors. I think it's going to be great. The trailer has me interested, and I will definitely be there as well when it comes out.
Let's go.
And now we're going to be moving into just some more general movie news. Now, these are some things that I found this week. They might be older, but they're definitely starting to drum up some talk. And that, of course, is going to be Gladiator 2 has its cast been released, at least some of them. Have you seen the cast list of this?
I have not.
Okay. I'm assuming you've seen Gladiator.
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts on that? I love that movie.
Yeah, great movie. Yeah, love it.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to read off the cast list here. We only have 7 people confirmed. So Ridley Scott is returning as director. I think that's a great choice. He did. I loved Last Duel, which
Last Duel is incredible.
I loved Last Duel. I think this could be kind of in the same theme or tone, and I think it could do very well.
That's what I was hoping as well.
But I was going to say, but it's Gladiator 2, so you got to live up to that first one.
Which just the title Gladiator 2 just sounds hysterical.
Yeah, I'm sure they will change that. They pretty much have to change that title, but for now, that's what we're calling it. Sure. First up on the cast list, Joseph Quinn. Now, he was in Stranger Things recently. Other than that, I haven't really seen a lot, but I think he did a great job in Stranger Things, so I'm interested in seeing him in this. Mm-hmm. Returning character from the first movie, rumored, is Djimon Hounsou, who I think is underused. I think he does a great job. But here's where we start picking up a little bit. Barry Keoghan's going to be in this. I loved him in Banshees of Inisherin. I thought he was great in Dunkirk.
Uh-huh.
Paul Mescal, who has had some good roles.
That's super exciting. Loved him in After Sun, one of my favorite movies of last year.
That was a good one. Connie Nielsen is going to be in this as well.
Okay.
And then we get to our top 2. And these are the powerhouse 2 that as soon as I saw this, I'm like, I'm seeing this movie. Denzel Washington is in this.
Wow.
Just watched Training Day. Loved him in Training Day. I'm excited to see what he does. And Pedro Pascal is in this.
Oof.
So this,
interesting.
With these seven revealed, and that's it. I'm already kind of in love with this casting, and I'm definitely going to see when it comes out. But what an interesting group to bring together for the Gladiator 2 movie, 24 years, because this will be next year, 24 years after the original.
Yeah, and that's like what kind of just like keeps like happening now, isn't it? You know, all these like, let's make a sequel to these movies that haven't come out in so long, like Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, exactly.
And it seems like it's working with pretty consistent success. So I see the appeal. I love Ridley Scott, and seems like he's just kind of doing whatever he wants. I mean, a couple of years ago, he comes out with The Last Duel and House of Gucci like 3 months apart was just bonkers. Like, who does that?
Well, that's got to do with the obviously COVID holding some of those back. But I love the opportunity to see 2 Ridley Scott movies in the theater in 1 year.
Yeah, but I think this dude's just doing whatever he wants now, which I mean, I'm all for just kind of, letting directors, take the reins off of and just let them cook. So if he wants to make Gladiator 2, let him go.
I'm a lover of the writer-director. Obviously, they have a vision. Let them do what they want to do. Don't try and interfere. And I feel like there are very few directors left in Hollywood that can do that. And I think Ridley Scott is definitely one of them, along with Christopher Nolan, Tarantino, Scorsese. I feel like the age of the big director is not around anymore in most cases.
For sure.
But definitely excited to see that. So jumping over to our next movie that we're going to be looking at cast-wise, that's had some huge cast reveals, going to be Deadpool 3. Now, I love the first 2 Deadpools. Kind of talked about earlier, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not on your radar, but you'll definitely see it. I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't see all the Marvel movies. I see the ones that are interesting. This one definitely has my interest, if not only for the fact that Hugh Jackman is coming back as Wolverine one more time in this movie.
Yeah, that's exciting to see. I loved Logan. I thought Logan was awesome. One of those like superhero movies which kind of like stands above the grain a little bit, I think, and just like transcends that subgenre or that subcategory, and it's just like a movie that happens to be about someone who's a superhero and isn't a superhero movie. So yeah, I think with that movie he kind of like earned the rights to like go be Wolverine again and just mess around in Deadpool, and I think that's perfectly fine. Like, if he came back for 4 movies, people would be like, okay, like, you ended it so well before, but this is just like a fun little like epilogue encore for him. So I'm all for it. Yeah,
I loved him in Logan. I think Logan is my favorite superhero movie in general, which is kind of a cop-out, but understandably so. It's really something special. But yeah, I like the first Deadpool. I like the second Deadpool a lot. They're very funny. They're easy. They're fun to watch. I think Ryan Reynolds, is Wade Wilson. That is the character he clearly wants to be and pushed for when that first movie was being made to be that character. Not a lot of other people in the cast have been revealed. We do have Karan Sani coming back as Depinder from the first 2 movies. And Rob Delaney will be back as Peter. Now, he was in the last one. He was the dad character that joined the X-Force, kind of the crowd favorite, and he will be returning. So I'm interested to see that. No word on if Zazie Beetz is going to be reprising her role as Domino, but I'm definitely going to be there when this comes out and be seeing that, which I think we are next year. So yeah, that's still a decent ways away, but I'm excited for that one too, nonetheless. So the next one we're going to be talking about is there's been a new Star Wars trilogy announced. Now, I don't know if you've heard a lot about this. We are recording this on May the 4th, the Star Wars holiday, but it has been announced that there's going to be, I think, 3 new movies. They are not going to be in order of their own trilogy, but rather, I think each has a new director. I think Dave Filoni is doing one, and I think they're like spanning different time periods. One's going to be after the sequels. One's going to be before, I think, the original trilogy. A lot still hasn't been released about this yet, but I wanted to know what you're thinking, because for me, I was a huge Star Wars fan growing up, and I was extremely excited when Disney announced they were making 6 new films. But I've got to say that I've got some serious Star Wars fatigue, and I haven't even seen the new season of The Mandalorian yet, and I don't even know if I will. I'm kind of getting tired of the Star Wars movie entertainment machine.
Yeah, kind of in the same boat as you. They've kind of reached like the same like purgatory state that Marvel has at post like Infinity War, which is that everyone was so jacked for The Force Awakens, and then The Last Jedi, everyone was hanging around still, and by then everybody kind of like fallen off by the time Rise of Skywalker came out, and then you had Solo and Rogue One in there as well. So it's just like, and then you have all the TV shows coming out. Everyone's just like really saturated. Before Star Wars, you had the original trilogy, then decades go by, then you have the prequels, and then the Clone Wars was in there, and that was really it. That was really all the Star Wars you got in terms of like watchable media. There was like, you still have like your supplemental comic books and whatever, but for like mainstream audiences, that was it over like decades. And now there's something coming out all the time, even though they've kind of cut it with the movies. There's still TV shows that are just like getting pounded down your throats. And like with Infinity War and Marvel, post Infinity War, it's like you can't put the thing back in the box. Like once the heroes all team up to like beat the big bad, then like after that, nobody wants to see Ant-Man catch a robber anymore.
Exactly.
It's like after we see Star Wars, it's like, well, whatever. You kind of had your chance and blew it, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this last week with Eli, so I'm gonna try not to just repeat the same thing I said. That was more on the Marvel side, but it's baffling to me that they didn't just end it after Endgame. I mean, that is the textbook perfect ending that you could ask for, and then to add on to that, to show you that you need to end it, all of your main leads for the last 11 years are done. RDJ is done. Chris Evans is done. Those two have led that franchise since 2008. And now they are, it is panic mode, scrambling to try and find who the new lead of the Avengers is going to be. My biggest thing that really cemented when I was kind of done with Marvel was when these TV shows were coming out. I just could not find the time or the want really to sit down for these TV shows that are coming out like every 2 or 3 months. I saw some of the Marvel movies. I didn't even see all of them. And now the fact you had to sit down and watch all these TV shows to have an idea of where the story is going, I wasn't a fan. And now we're seeing that with Star Wars. I was very much into 7. 8 came out. I had my problems with 8, but I still think that it set up enough that I was interested for 9. And then because 8 got so slammed, Disney went into damage control and they just rewrote everything for 9. And I've made this comparison a lot now, but if you watch the sequel trilogy, it is not a comprehensive story, because when you finish 8, you're expecting to get an end to that story in 9. And then you watch 9 and it's not the ending to 8. And it doesn't have a movie before it because it's trying to do so much at once. And I'm hoping that they can get away with that because Dave Filoni is on for these new movies, this new trilogy. He has done a great job for The Mandalorian. And I'm really hoping that they can do something good here. But I'm really worried that Disney has just got all these properties that they can't let go of. And it's really going to hinder them in the long run, I think. And I think they're just going to have to either let go or they're going to run them into the ground.
Yeah, like you said, I'm just kind of like exhausted with it, and all this news comes up, and then it ends up changing so many times before anything comes out. Like, remember, like Taika Waititi was supposed to make a Star Wars movie, and like, I don't even know, like, is that not happening anymore? Is that still happening? I have no idea.
Oh, it's the damage control of them being like, oh, we're making, we're doing 3 episodes, and then we're doing 3 anthologies. We're doing Rogue One, we're doing Han Solo, and we're gonna do a Boba Fett movie. Well, then Solo tanked, so they're like, we're not doing the Boba Fett movie. And then no one liked Last Jedi. So leading up to Last Jedi, they said Rian Johnson's getting his own trilogy. That tanked. Never mind. He's not doing that. We're bringing in this guy to direct 9. Forget it. Now J.J. Abrams is back to direct 9. It's just amazing. I think this will be the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and Disney Star Wars will just be taught as like the masterclass in what not to do when planning a movie trilogy. Just letting whoever wants it get their hands on it and do whatever they want, have no cohesive, arcs, no story written through it. And it really was disappointing, but trailers have not come out yet. Very little knowledge is known about this trilogy coming out. So I might change my views, but as of now, I think I'm just done with Star Wars. I think Andor sealed it. Andor was great. I loved Andor. I loved Rogue One, personally. So I was looking forward to seeing Andor, but it was so good. I don't think a TV show will be better than Andor, and I don't think any of the movies will be better than Empire Strikes Back. So I kind of don't see a point for them to keep going, but if they want to keep going, they can keep going. I mean, I'll probably watch it eventually, but not extremely excited for it.
There you go.
Rounding out some more general news, you kind of hinted to this earlier with Fast 10 coming out. So they have announced Riddick 4 is going to be coming out. That's Vin Diesel's kind of passion project, Chronicles of Riddick and Pitch Black. Now, 10 and 11 are filmed back to back, and these are supposed to be in the end of the Fast and the Furious saga. And I'm kind of interested to see where these actors go after this. I mean, this has been a franchise that has been going since the early 2000s, and most of the people that are in these movies are in every single one. And now that it's kind of wrapping up, especially it sounded like you were kind of a fan of these movies. I want to hear your thoughts on this potentially saga coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm a fan. Or I'm a fan of like the first movie, and then like
okay, I would agree with that. And then it gets a little off the rails as you keep going.
Oh my God, yeah, and that's like like the best part of it. Like you're not doing it right if you don't go see a Fast and Furious with like if you don't bring like a whole like row in the theater full of your friends to go see it, and, like go see it at midnight, and like roll up there with like Tokyo, like everyone's playing Tokyo Drift like out of their speakers and like in the parking lot. Like that's how you go see a Fast and Furious movie, or at least that's like what my friends have done like the last two. And so yeah, like, it's just like one of those like franchises where it's just an event. Like I mean, I hated Fast 9. Like I just thought it was a terrible movie.
Yeah, that's what I haven't seen. I think I've seen the first 3, and I haven't seen any since. But I heard 9 was like a big letdown.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're like all kind of like bad. Besides like I don't know, like the first one, like 2 if you like it, Tokyo Drift, like maybe like 4 and 5 are pretty okay. But yeah, I mean, it's no longer about like just some like cool guys like street racing and like stealing TVs anymore whenever they're like messing around with like nuclear submarines and stuff. But yeah, it's like, it's family, baby. So you come back no matter what.
You can't turn your back on family.
But yeah, seeing Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez is always a good time. So yeah, we'll be there, no doubt.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're into this movie, I can definitely see why you would go to see it. Personally, like I was saying, I like the Mission Impossible movies. I like listen, Tom Cruise does his own thing outside of making movies, but that guy makes movies for the audience. I love seeing him actually doing stunts that I know he did. It's part of the reason I love the John Wick, that it's so real and visceral, and it's great. And, Fast isn't for me. Fast and Furious is not for me. But I understand it's out there, and I'm excited to see kind of like what they do after this, because I feel like they've been stuck in these, not stuck, but just in these contracts where you got to film these movies so much that, similar, like I said, with, Disney or Marvel actors getting out of that to go do real good movies like Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. I'm excited to see what this could mean for these people. Now, really quickly, I just want to touch on this. I don't know if you've heard, but there is a rumor that since 9, they went to space and 10 hasn't come out yet, but people are theorizing that 10 and 11 could be leading to a sort of time travel storyline to where a whole new saga of Fast and the Furious could start after this has ended. And I want to know if you'd be interested to see that.
I mean, like, no, but like I would watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like hearing that is just like a train wreck. Like you can't not look at it. You got to see what they do.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was going to say whenever you're bringing this up, I'm like, there's no way they end this thing. There's going to be like endless spinoffs. Again, it's just like one of those franchises where
Hobbs and Shaw.
It's even like, what the hell is it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like, again, like it starts off about just like tuna sandwiches and street racing, and now we're like going to the moon and blowing up nuclear submarines. So you just like you can just turn this thing into anything. You just put the name Fast and Furious on it. It's going to print money. So in that regard, I am interested to see what they do, just because they can do anything, and it seems like they have no hesitation to do anything. So
yeah. All righty. So going into the last section of the podcast today, we are about a third of the way through the box office year. So we're just going to take a quick look at the top movies grossing this year. I'll just say it. If we've seen them, we might talk about them for a little bit. Some of these we've already covered. There's only really 7 so far that stand out that are things that a lot of people would have seen. But there are some movies in the list that I want to highlight just because I've seen them and think they're decent, or just kind of what happened here. How did it go so bad? So first up is Super Mario Bros. Movie that just came out, sitting at worldwide just over $1 billion. Now, I haven't seen this, but I've heard it's okay. Not great, but you've seen it? Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's fine. It's a kid's movie.
Yeah. Now, I've got to ask.
It's a tight 90. It's a tight 90. It's in and out, just like a movie should be. Now, Charlie Day, I thought did incredible. Loved him as Luigi. Jack Black is great, of course. Everyone's like all like worried about Chris Pratt, and kind of I was too. Again, like you guys were kind of saying, like, you know, there are like voice actors who normally do these characters. Like, why are they not just voicing them? I know it kind of like is a reason for that in the movie, but I mean, I agree. Like, it's just like, just hire those guys. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
You want, you know, I don't think it was. Yeah, right. No one's gonna go see the Mario movie just because Chris Pratt's in it, and not because they don't want to see a Mario movie. But whatever. I'm like fairly just disinterested and neutral in the Mario movie as a whole. Just like I saw it and I was like, yeah, that's fine.
I wanted to ask, because I have not seen it, but I've heard this. Are the voices distracting to a degree?
I didn't think so, because like not even a spoiler, like Mario and Luigi don't start off like in the Mario world, like they're like humans, like normal people, I guess, and they just kind of end up there. And so again, like it kind of like gives a reason why they don't just like sound like how they do in the games, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was fine. I could see if you were a big like fan of the franchise that it would be really distracting for you. I'm not as much. I mean, I'm like familiar, but yeah, for me it was like, okay, this is like a fine movie, like you know, a step above like the Emoji Movie for me.
Yeah. So next up, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, there's a big gap here between number 1 and number 2. Super Mario Bros. At 1.04 billion. Ant-Man and the Wasp only at 474 million. Now, I did not see this movie. I have not seen any of the Ant-Man movies, but I went and saw, I think, the last 2 or 3 Marvel movies leading up to this, and I was just so, not even disappointed, but just so unamused at it was, I think, the Doctor Strange movie, that I just had no sense to go and see this. I've heard it was okay. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I did see this one, and yeah, I don't care about it. I don't remember anything that happens in it, really.
Yeah.
And that's not true. I remember a few things, but it was just like, it was really emblematic of kind of everything that's wrong with the MCU right now.
Yeah, that's
like
what
a weightless, expository movie. It doesn't really serve any purpose other than to be a singular entity and only exist to set up the next one. You know what I mean? That's what all these movies are anymore. It's just like, we'll, you know, introduce where these characters are at right now, and then we'll just slowly bring in these characters to set up the next one. It's like they're not even like stories anymore.
It really seems like now it is an hour and 45 minutes to see the post-credit scene. It really feels like that what it is now.
For sure. It was so long. It was like right over 2 hours. It was just way too long. Like, I've never seen a movie that looked more like it was filmed on a green screen than this one.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, is like the CGI is not good.
Well, because it needed to be entirely CGI. And
exactly.
So obvious. Like, you know, I mean, obviously it's obvious, but like, it was just like, you couldn't get past like, oh, this is like people on a green screen. Like, there was no immersion.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Bad.
I agree. However, in the number 3 spot, a movie that I think deserves more money, and I love, John Wick Chapter 4, crossing 400 million, sits at 403 million right now.
And it's still in theaters, still playing a lot of places.
It just came back last week to IMAX. I went and saw it again. If you did not get to see this movie in IMAX, you are missing out. Every single gunshot shook my seat in the theater. It was incredible. I mean, we talked about this earlier. I love the John Wick franchise. I think this is the best one. It is the most, you know, you get to see the exact opposite to Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is close-up action that you get to see and take in, and you know that they train to do this. I thought it was great. Definitely going to be buying that on 4K when that comes out. Great movie. I mean, what really else is there to say about that we haven't already said?
I agree. You think you hit the nail on the head.
Next up, another movie I saw and really enjoyed. I'm surprised it is at 4. Was Creed 3, 273 million. This one's sitting at. I kind of love this. This was Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, I'm pretty sure, and I thought he handled it great. I thought it was a good movie. Developed a story from the first two, kept it going, even without Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. I really enjoyed it.
I have not seen it. I'm like, again, Rocky's one of my blind spots. I've never seen Rocky. I haven't seen Creed. I'm gonna have to really do some catch up on those one day. It's like daunting. There's so many Rocky movies.
Yeah,
there are
Creeds. Like a lot.
Yeah, there was a theater out here that was playing. I think on like this past Thanksgiving, it played Rocky and Rocky 2 back to back, and I almost went to that. And then maybe I would have caught up and been able to see Creed 3, but alas, I did not.
No, it was good. Especially, how many boxing movies can you watch before it gets boring? The end fight in Creed 3, there's this weird, like, surreal scene where, this is definitely, in my opinion, the strongest character kind of stories of these Rocky and Creed movies. I thought Jonathan Majors played the bad guy great, and I felt like him and Adonis Creed really were going head to head. There's a really interesting scene where they're fighting in, like, I think it's the Dodgers Stadium or the New York Yankees Stadium at the end, and in the middle of the fight, it switches to where there's no crowd and it's just these two guys. And it's very weird in a boxing movie to have that, but I thought it really worked and it was definitely interesting. But yeah, if you guys have not seen Creed 3, I would definitely recommend checking that out. Next up on the list, another movie I've seen, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, sitting at 195 million right now. I thought this movie was a lot of fun. Other than above anything else, it was just, it went by fast. It wasn't a slog to get through, and I thought it was just a good time.
Another one I missed, one of the few that I've missed this year, and it was kind of like one of those where I was like, ooh, like I don't know if I don't see this like opening weekend, I just don't know if I'll see it. I still would like to see it. Again, Michelle Rodriguez in that one, talking about Fast and Furious. But
she was good in it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it's just like a really good time. Kind of hits above its weight class a little bit, and yeah, it's one that everyone should kind of check out. So yeah, I will get around to that one for sure.
Love to hear it. Next up, Scream 6. I did not see this one, but it's sitting at $169 million right now. I didn't really hear anything about this one. I heard more about the one that came out, I think, last year or 2 years ago, because that was kind of the reboot. But I did not see this one. I love the first Scream. I have the first Scream on 4K remaster, and I love that movie. But I'm not a big fan of the other ones. I just didn't get a chance to check this one out.
I thought it was great. I mean, yeah, I'm a big horror guy. Love Scream. I think this might be the second best Scream movie after the first one. It was brutal. It was in your face. It was just like, it was still consistent enough with the other ones, but still like just shook up kind of the hierarchy of everything just a little bit, just enough. Was just kind of like the shot of adrenaline that I think the franchise needed, especially after Scream 5 was like received pretty well. And it was just like, it was just like what everyone kind of wanted. This, it didn't play it too safe. It didn't take too many risks. It was good. The Ghostface was like brutal. There's some really cool scenes. There's one great scene with Ghostface with shotgun, like in the 7-Eleven, which is just killer. So I loved Scream 6. I thought that was a really, really strong one.
Do you think there will be a Scream 7?
Oh yeah, 100%. There'll be a Scream 7, no doubt.
Sounds good. Next up is Shazam! Fury of the Gods, 7th place, 133,500,000, right in the middle there. I did not see this, but
no.
I've heard it was okay. We're in an interesting spot. I don't know if you've heard, but like they're resetting the DC universe after Flash. So, it's a similar thing of like when Black Widow came out after Endgame. Why are you going to watch a movie where that character can't come back anymore? We know how the story ends. Like, even if you like Shazam, which I saw the first Shazam and I thought it was actually very good for like,
so did I. Yeah.
A DC movie, but like Shazam is gone in like a couple months. When Flash comes out, this whole universe is gone. It's restarted. What's the point of seeing it? So I just didn't catch it, but looks like it made some money. I doubt it made its budget back. Nowadays, these things are like 150 million each without marketing. So long shot off, but heard it was okay.
Yeah, I know. I feel really bad about that one because I really like the director, David F. Sandberg. Really a fan of him, and yeah, I think he just really got kind of a bad shake with this one because I think like Black Adam was supposed to either be in this one or be teased in the last one or something.
Yeah,
Like The Rock
I've
would
heard
have that, wanted to be in his own movie. I think this dude, I think he really kind of got the short end of the stick with this whole DC
oh
thing.
100%.
And so they just kind of dumped this movie out and no one really saw it, which isn't fair.
Yeah,
David F. Sandberg.
I would agree. David F. Sandberg's made some great horror movies. I loved Lights Out. I'm not the biggest on the Annabelle movies, or the whole Conjuring universe besides really the first and the second one. But yeah, I feel like he got the short end of the stick even from that first movie where his post-credit scene wasn't even Henry Cavill as Superman. It was just the Superman suit. Like you couldn't even get that in his movie. And then, yes, again, with The Rock, it's a very long and convoluted story, but it just seems like The Rock did not help the DC franchise at all get away from where it was, and it's ending now, so it's just in a weird spot. But yeah, I can't really say much else about that.
I totally agree.
Rounding out the last couple we're going to talk to you, we're going to skip 8 because I don't think it doesn't look like it even came out in the United States. It looks like it was a Indian movie. But 9, Evil Dead Rise, that you talked about seeing, coming in at 91 million. Again, I've heard it's good. Obviously, it's going to make its money back. It really seems like we are in the age of these low-budget Blumhouse horror movies that you can make for 20, 30, 40 million, and you're almost guaranteed, A, people to go see it, and B, to make some money back.
For sure. I mean, there's like, in the filmmaking community, like the general sentiment is like, if you want people to see your movie, like you make a horror movie. Because if you make a horror movie, you already have such a built-in audience. Like even if you make a shitty, bad horror movie, people will still watch it, no matter what. But if you make like a really bad drama, no one's going to go see it. But horror fans will go see anything. And so for a horror movie not to make its budget back is so unprecedented. It's so crazy because you can make them for so cheap and so many people will go see them. But that really doesn't even apply to Evil Dead Rise. It's a really good movie. It's really strong. Again, it's just over an hour and a half. It's tight, in and out, kind of shake some stuff up with the franchise not being in a cabin out in the middle of the woods anymore. Instead, it's like in this high rise in a city. And yeah, it's just like, it's 96 minutes of a really good time. It doesn't waste any time getting into it, and it hits the ground running, and it just goes.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously this is going to get a little bit of a boost in its budget or in its box office because it is part of a franchise. If you've seen the Evil Dead movies, you're going to get some. But to release a horror movie in April and have a decent return, kind of shocking. You'd think that these would be, when you get, like you're saying, if you want people to see a horror movie, you make a horror movie and you release it in October. Like that's the easiest way to get money. But the fact that it made money this early, shows it's good. Next up, 11, skipping another movie, going from 9 to 11 here. Cocaine Bear, 87 million.
Yeah.
I saw this. I thought it was okay.
Yep.
I didn't love how it ended with Ray Liotta's character, especially after his passing. Rest in peace. I'm very glad that he will be in Fool's Paradise and that his last movie was not him getting mauled by a bear.
Right.
But yeah, not a lot to say for that one from me.
Yeah, I thought, Cocaine Bear was like totally fine. It's a movie about a bear on cocaine. It seems like that's kind of all that there was there. It was like, look at this bear that's on cocaine and look at it again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get it. It's fine. I think a lot of people liked it a lot, and that's great. Brooklyn Prince in it. She played the little girl. Loved her. She's the star of The Florida Project, which is my favorite movie of all time. So had to be there to support her, of course. But yeah, Cocaine Bear, one of those movies that made a bunch of money like in its like first like week or two, and then I think everyone can kind of forget about in about a couple months.
Immediately following that though, Air, $80 million. I'm
good on it.
I'm almost certain that didn't make its money back, but it deserved more. Again, just a great movie, really. Not much else to say.
It don't really have a second life, I think. Like, again, might not make its money back, but that's like one where, like, in 5 years, people are gonna be like, "That was the movie that came out in 2023." It's gonna really kind of catch fire after its time a little bit, unfortunately.
See, I don't know if I can agree with the statement that's the movie that came out in 2023 because Oppenheimer is later this year.
Okay, well, maybe not the movie.
That is going to probably be the movie, but I know where you're coming from.
It'll be one of those. out of all, it's really going to be held in higher regard than its box office numbers now.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Gonna just go off a couple rapid fire here that I didn't see because I want to get to some lower ones that I did see, and I assuming you've seen because from what it sounds like you see a lot of movies, and these are some of the bigger ones. Magic Mike's Last Dance, I didn't see it. Number 14 this year with 57 million. 65 we touched on earlier. 16th, 56 million. The Pope's Exorcist, the Russell Crowe horror movie, sitting at 55 million. That is way more than I ever thought that movie was going to get.
Agreed. I was just talking to my friend the other day. I was kind of shitting on that movie. He went on a date to that movie, and I went, "You brought a girl to go see The Exorcist?"
Oh my god, dude!
Apparently, it's doing well. I was like, I'm skipping this, but I guess I might have to go check it out. It's making way more money than I thought it was.
Sitting at 18, I mean, I saw the poster at my theater and I just laughed out loud. I can't believe it made that, but yeah, I guess Russell Crowe got a following.
It looks like it's a
exactly. Movie. Next up, this one I did see, and I thought it was actually pretty good. I wouldn't call it a return to form for this director. It didn't make any money. I mean, it made some money, but it's definitely not making its budget back. Knock at the Cabin made 54 million. I thought this was the best M. Night Shyamalan movie in years. I don't think it's the best one ever, but it's definitely better than what we've been getting. And I enjoyed it.
Okay, yeah. Well, I love M. Night Shyamalan. I'm an M. Night Shyamalan apologist. You could talk about his movies I could talk about M. Night Shyamalan forever. I really liked Knock at the Cabin. Thought it was really strong. Had a great time with it. Kind of haven't thought about it in a while. It hasn't stuck with me as much.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't think of it have.
I did love Old. I thought Old was like borderline masterful, and so I could really stand against.
I don't know if I can say that. I liked Old. I didn't think it was master. I thought Old was good until the end. The end is when it got a little ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah, see, I don't even mind. Yeah, the end is like fine for me. I have no strong opinion on it one way or another, but I think Old is some like really, really great filmmaking, and I don't have the time to talk about it right now. But if you ever do Shyamalan, or if you ever like talk Old, like that's one. Yeah, get me in the driver's seat on that one. I got some thoughts. So
will do. I would definitely will. But really quickly, just wrapping up Knock at the Cabin. Yep. I loved how there wasn't a twist at the end. You go into the M. Night Shyamalan
movie. That was the twist.
That was the twist. I'm sitting there in the theater and I'm like, what's the twist? Where's it gonna be? I'm like, never mind. That it literally was just what was happening. So I really like that as a kind of shine away from what he normally does.
Awesome.
Yeah. Really quickly, some more rattling off fast. Plane, the Gerard Butler movie, 22nd this year, 52 million. 80 for Brady. I thought that was a funny trailer, and it made more movie than I thought it made more money than I thought it would at 40 million. This one I saw and I kind of loved it. I didn't say love, but I liked this one a lot. Operation Fortune.
I think I saw that. That's a Guy Ritchie movie?
Yes, Guy Ritchie movie. I thought Josh Hartnett did a great job. I haven't seen him in anything in a long time. Aubrey Plaza killed it. Hugh Grant's great. Now I love me some Guy Ritchie. Snatch is one of my favorite movies of all time. I loved The Gentleman when that came out too. That was very Snatch-like. I thought this was a great time. 37 million. Would have liked to see it make some more, but I enjoyed it. Yeah,
generally the same thoughts. I had no idea it was coming out. Just saw that it was like playing. I was like, this is a Guy Ritchie movie right now. Yeah, just kind of like saw it, turned my brain off for 2 hours, and had a good time.
This movie was supposed to release like a year or two ago, and I've been watching it closely ever since the trailer first came out to try and see when it comes out here, because it came out in I think England or the UK, somewhere in Europe. And it finally came out. I'm glad I got to see it. I'll definitely be picking that one up.
Because he has a new movie out now, right? The Covenant is out now.
I was going to go to that one next. Now, Operation Fortune is on the 26th.
Pumping these things out.
He's got them saved up. But Operation Fortune, 26th place with 38 million. Nothing really between this and the Covenant, so dropping down to 39. Covenant only made $13 million. I went and saw it. I really enjoyed it. It was better than I thought it would be. Looking from the trailers, supposed to be like a serious kind of war movie. I didn't think that would work at all with Guy Ritchie's style of filmmaking. I thought it would be a very big tone shock of what the source material is and what he does with his movies. But it worked really well. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was great. I forget the guy who played his translator was, but he did a great job as well. The end gets a little, over dramatic, actiony, just blowing stuff up, but the movie kind of earns it at that point, and I really enjoyed it. Sad to see it not make that much money, but definitely worth a watch if you have not seen it.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
All right, so we're going to go to the random movie wheel here. Let's see what we get as it goes, and we are going to land on Looper for next week. I love Looper, actually. Speaking of Rian Johnson, Star Wars Episode 8 director, I think this is his best movie. I've seen it a lot, so I'll enjoy rewatching that.
For sure. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt is great in that, and probably one of Bruce Willis' last good roles. But we are going to be wrapping up here. Thank you all for listening. Again, if you guys would mind dropping a like, and if you enjoy the content you're seeing here and want to stay with it, please consider subscribing. Put anything in the comments that you want to talk about from what we discussed today. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say and get some audience participation going. A huge thank you to my friend Reiss for being with me today. Great conversation with him today, and I really enjoyed it.
Ditto. Thank you.
And I will see you guys next week.